Tonight on Behind the Details with Chelsea, we sit down with special guest Jeremy Stevens. He's the owner of Stevens Detailing in Ventura, California, and also the owner and creator of Shine Supply, an extremely popular brand within the industry. Jeremy has been detailing since the 90s, and tonight we're going to find out a little bit about how he got his start in the industry, how he grew his business and brand to what it is, and some of the unique lessons that he has learned along the way over the last 30 plus years about what success truly looks like. So tonight, I'm honored to sit down with him and get to know him better. So let's go ahead and get started with the show. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We are back to our 8 o'clock time. I know we kind of switching around. I am honored to have Jeremy Stevens on. For those of you who have never tried Shine Supply, they are actually one of my favorite brands. I got turned on to them when I was out with the Car Supplies Warehouse, and just a stellar lineup. But beyond an impressive brand, Jeremy, I've been always just impressed with just your integrity, your character as a man. I know we were talking a little bit behind the studio. Last week we had on Hudson Archer, and he's talking about how he has become an extremely successful mobile detailer and bringing in all of this revenue and income. And for someone, I don't know if it's being a parent, being married, where we maybe have a different view of what success looks like, but I've always resonated with kind of the story that you have shared even on your Instagram page of what God has kind of done in your life and shifted your view of what success really looks like. So I want to kind of get into that a little bit, but thank you for coming on the show first and foremost.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
I know that we've got, 28 people watching live. That normally goes up anywhere from 50 to 100. So we're definitely going to be taking you guys' questions for Jeremy during the show later on. So if you guys have questions for Jeremy about anything business related or even Shine Supply, make sure you guys, put your questions in the comment section below. We will try to get to those later on. But first and foremost, for those that are not familiar with your story, would you mind taking us back to the beginning? How did you get your start into detailing? What were some of the influences that kind of shaped you to get your start in this business?
So I grew up. My dad he worked for a gentleman that was on the board of McGuire's. I'm not sure if they heard that first part I was just talking, or is it?
Nope, that was just us.
Okay, that was just me and you. Okay.
Yep.
So he worked for a gentleman that was on the board of directors for McGuire's. So he was very close with Barry McGuire. Barry McGuire used to send detailing products out to what was called the bus barn. It's where my dad worked and took care of some vehicles for this gentleman. And so all growing up, elementary school, anytime I had an opportunity, I'd go down to the bus barn after school, open up all the detailing products, clean the bus, clean the other vehicles. And it was just like an absolute blast. My dad was gone a lot, so it was kind of one of our connection times. Mm-hmm. It's cool too. I put a collage on the wall at our new shop, Chelsea. You kind of pan through, when we first started talking a minute ago. And there's a picture actually from the bus barn of me. I'm 8 years old and I have some McGuire's products and I'm cleaning the back of the bus, and we put it in the collage that I made this massive wallpaper and put it on the wall in the lounge.
So here, I'm going to show this real quick. This is
just for those of you. Right there, that collage on the wall. There's a picture on that, in that collage of me down at the bus farm. So it's
full circle.
It's crazy. Full circle. It's crazy. So I just really fell in love with cleaning and shining stuff. And I used to pull my mom's, she had an 85 Honda Accord. I used to pull it out on the lawn on a Saturday and wash and wax it. For Christmas, I would ask for cans of paste wax. It's just,
you like to torture.
I used to take all my Hot Wheels and Q-tips and give them little baths and wax them with the Q-tips and just.
Oh my gosh, that's adorable.
I was so anal with like, instead of dumping all your Hot Wheels in like one bin and they get all scratched, I had like the actual little carrier. So each Hot Wheel had its own little slot so they wouldn't get scratched. So I'm through and through about this. So
My husband
um,
does the same thing with my son's Hot Wheels, though. We have like 5 compartments to keep them all so they don't get scratched because they lose their value.
right. So I'd say that's kind of where I just had this love for detailing. Our family kind of fell apart. Some things happened when I was 14. My dad got into some trouble with some stuff, and we had to move from Texas to Oregon. And I went into a really bad rebellious period from 14 to 18,
Hmm.
and drugs, selling drugs, and just fighting and every bit of trouble you can imagine. On my 18th birthday, I actually overdosed. And that was like a wake up call
Yeah.
that, just I was so lost. And I was like, if I keep going down this path, I'm going to end up dead or in jail. And I, I went back to the only thing that I could remember that made me happy. And it was those times with my dad at the bus barn cleaning, messing around with detailing products. And it's the only thing I could think of that I like to do. I had train wrecked my high school years, as far as like sports involvement. So I just had no purpose. So I just was like, I'm just going to go back to this. And detailing, I can say it literally saved me. Like
Mm.
it gave me something to wake up to every day. It gave me purpose. I got so much fulfillment out of uh, actually making someone happy rather than the lifestyle that I had been living,
Mm.
where I was hurting people, disappointing myself. Now all of a sudden I could do somebody's car, do a good job, make them happy. They'd say nice things to me. It's like the first time I had felt any sense of value in years. So um, me getting into detailing, my motivation was completely different. It wasn't to make a name for myself or make a bunch of money or whatever the many reasons out there. And I'm not going to knock any of them, right? It's just this is my story.
Mhm.
So it I needed something to wake up to every day, and God literally used this profession to give me hope, and I just was obsessed. So this was in 96 when I
Okay.
started. Mhm.
So were you
Um,
mobile at this point?
I was mobile.
Just yourself?
Just myself. Yep. I was mobile. Had a tank in the back of my truck, pressure washer.
Now, were you in California at this point, or were you still
I was in California, so we had moved to California.
okay?
So
So when you finally kind of found your purpose with
mhm.
detailing, um, were you single, married at this point?
No, I was single. I actually had a girlfriend at the time because I borrowed $250 from her, and then it's the only money I ever borrowed from my father. Uh, I borrowed another 250 from him, so I had $500, and that's what I bought my first tank, hose, pressure washer, and reel with.
Wow.
So I was, I had a girlfriend at the time, but that's it. Just
Now, you said your dad did you and your dad, you said you did it together.
no,
No. That was
no,
just you
just when
would
I
go
just when
and
I was little. Yeah, go to the bus barn, and
okay.
he'd be. I mean, yeah, he'd be cleaning another part of the bus. So we did detail together when I was younger, because he'd be washing the
Okay.
bus. This was a 45-foot. It's basically, these were versions of like what you see rock stars in now, but this is back
Okay.
in like 89. So we would detail together back then. But, by the time I was 18, our relationship was very fractured. My dad had struggled with alcoholism.
Okay.
So that can kind of give you a picture of the dynamic. But yeah, so I was on my own. I had moved out at 17.
Okay. How was
So
your
it was,
relationship with your dad, like, once you kind of got clean, started into detailing?
um, It was still fractured because my dad was still caught up. You know, he was struggling with alcohol, but he was hiding it. So it was a really twisted dynamic. So our relationship was just super broken. Um,
Yeah.
but he was kind enough to loan me 250, and I told him I'd have him paid back in 30 days, and I kept my word. And you know, I'm grateful that he did that. So because
What
that allowed me to start the
what were
business.
those early years like for you when you first started your business? Because I know a lot of people, especially if they're just kind of starting out, it's hard. It's really hard to kind of make a name for yourself, to figure out your niche, prices, things like that. What was it like for you? Because California is a unique climate that you can kind of detail almost year round, if I'm correct.
Hmm.
So what were those first few like years like for you growing your business?
Well, you got to think 96, there was no social media.
Hmm.
So there was no way to promote your business. I mean, you either were going to have a commercial on TV, which that wasn't going to happen, right? Or you were going to be in the yellow pages in a phone book, or you were going to go out door knocking. So I didn't have any money for the yellow pages. So I just went out door knocking. I would go into salons, I would go into realtor offices, I would sit at Target, which is about a block from my shop now. I'd sit at Target on a Saturday. I'd ask people if I could wash their car when they went in shopping. I mean, I was the epitome of like I would do whatever. I would do whatever. I mean, but I was so obsessed with it, and I was so happy to be sober and doing something positive with my life. Like it just that kind of gave me the push through. You know, my motivation was just right. So, you know, when I would hear all the no's, or people, no, I don't need it done, or what do you mean you're doing mobile car washing? You got to think in 96, I was one of the first 5 guys to ever do it in the county.
Wow.
So it was there was some people that were still like, wait, what? Like you have like water in your truck? You can wash my car in the parking lot? It's like, yeah, okay. I
So
guess
when
I'll
you
give you my keys. you know.
so when you were out there hustling trying to get up business, like what were some of the things that you felt like you were doing right, and some of the things that you learned, weren't giving you the success that you wanted?
The number one thing I felt like I was doing right is that I was going to do a good job. I wasn't going to cut corners. I was going to do the car the right way. I was more concerned and consumed with doing good work than making money. So my drive was like I have to nail every job. It wasn't like I can get $10. I mean, let me say this. I was washing cars for $10.
Wow.
$10 inside and out, like a wash and vacuum. Now there wasn't any 2 bucket system. It was like one mitt,
Yeah.
drying it with a chamois. But I was washing cars for $10, and then I went to $12. So,
Ooh.
um, but again in '96, like you were either gonna work it like a Jiffy Lube or McDonald's and make minimum wage, which at that time I think it was 7-8 bucks an hour.
Mhm.
So it's my first year I wasn't paying taxes or anything, so I was like going, if I went home with $100, it was like, all right, this is cool. But to try to answer that question, yeah, number one, I was driven by doing good work, which I believe will always bring in the right money. Um, and then another thing I did right is that I treated it like I had a full-time job with somebody. So what I mean by that is I would get up in the morning, I wouldn't sleep in, I would get out the door by 8 o'clock. And of course, at the beginning, most days I had nothing to do. I went out and created the work.
Mm.
And that's the beauty about mobile is I don't think you should ever go home empty handed. Like I never understand when guys and I don't want to soapbox on something too quick, but when guys are like, they're mobile and they're like, oh, I don't have any work today. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, go walk in a business, or I mean, you can create work.
Mhm.
It's everywhere. It's just a matter of having that will and that desire to like, uh, I have an expectation for myself for the day. So that was another thing I was doing right, is that I gave myself work hours. I was like, I'm working 6 days a week. I'm going to take Sundays off. I wasn't playing around, meaning like I didn't come into a Tuesday and a buddy say, hey man, you want to go golfing or you want to go dirt bike riding? Is like, no, I'm working. Well, do you have any jobs lined up? No, I'm going to go make them happen though. I mean, Chelsea, I would sit on rainy days. I would go sit at Starbucks and I'd profile people, meaning if I saw somebody that, pull up, have a nice car, I'd go up to them and I say, hey, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it's raining. I'm trying to get my business going. Like, could I come to your house today and I'll give you a discount and do an interior detail for you?
Mm. Smart.
And I would do it in their garage. I just didn't have any pride.
That's what I was gonna say. Does it I
I
think it
just,
takes an element of humility,
yeah,
to do something like that.
and I think that's always been my superpower, is that I mean, I have ego, don't get me wrong. I mean, every guy, we all have ego to an extent. But I just didn't, I took more pride in my work ethic and my desire to make something happen than I did like somebody, looking down on me because I'm wanting to do an interior detail while it's raining, and just kind of like, most people were actually impressed. Like, God, I don't even need it done, but you come over and I'm going to let you do it just because you have that desire to make something happen. Like, God, man, I respect that. Like, people respected it.
What were your goals when you were at this point, just starting out? Like, what was your vision for the future?
Oh, God. At that stage, Kelsey, was
Yeah.
just get through the day, just
Okay.
maximize my day and not backtrack, like get back on drugs or start running around again. It was just do something positive with my life. That was like the first few years. That's all I was consumed with, is like, I just wanted to be proud of myself.
Mm.
I had been so disappointed in myself for so many years. I was just trying to rebuild my self-esteem.
And do you feel like detailing, I mean, you said detailing pretty much saved your life, but beyond, I don't wanna say distracting you from your previous struggles, like, what were some of the things that it helped you realize about yourself?
Well, I have an addictive personality, so
Don't we all as detailers?
yeah, so I just channeled my addiction into my work, into detailing. I was addicted to it. I mean, it consumed me in a good way. I was I was definitely obsessed, you know, on several different levels. For one, just what it did for me emotionally, what it did for me, just the experience with customers, getting positive feedback from people, having people be happy with me. It was just, I think about those years a lot, like still. Um, I had so much fun. I just loved going to different places every day. I'm 48 years old, and
You don't look
I
it.
don't mi- I don't miss thank you. I don't miss the physical part of mobile detailing, because I think it's one of the hardest things you can do, but like, I miss it. I miss it. I'll tell you, if Shine Supply, if for some crazy reason this all fell apart, like, I'd have no problem throwing a towel in my back pocket and ramping it up.
Going to
I mean,
Starbucks and saying
that's
you
still
need
where
your
my mind
interior done.
that's still where my mindset is. And again, not on a physical level of what I want to do that, but my mindset is still there, because it was just a blast.
That says a lot about who you are, though. To be, I mean, for those that missed, we showed a little video, something that you had on Instagram of what Shine Supply, your headquarters, and it is impressive. So the fact that you would, even if all of that went away, be completely humble enough, because some people, once they have a taste of that, it kind of goes to their head. They get a little egotistical, and that's something that's always impressed me about you is that you just seem so grounded, so humble and so thankful for all the success that you have, but you just seem to want to lift others up with you while you're doing it. And that's something I really commend about you.
Thanks, Chelsea.
So how many years were you in the mobile setting before you realized, okay, like this is growing? Like what did those next steps look like for you? Because I know a lot of people like, there is there like a baseline to know when to go from mobile to a shop or to grow to that next level? Like what was it for you? And I know times were a little different. We didn't have as much social media, but how long before you went from mobile to shop?
So I was mobile for 18 years before I got my
18
shop.
years.
18
Was it
years.
just you? 18 years?
No, at one point I had two other trucks. So I had two guys underneath me
Okay.
working as subcontractors, and they had their own routes and they just paid me a fee per day. So we did that for years. They moved
Wow.
on to something different. Um, and so after that, I just always had one helper. That always worked really good for me. It's just one helper. We could get a lot done. Um, and I'm definitely not anyone that's listening that's like trying to get these business guru tips on how to scale. Like I'm not that guy. Like my biggest message is, and it's my lane. That's what I call it. Like everybody has their lane of strength that they
Mhm.
bring that adds value to other people, right? My lane is like just my character and my willingness to stay in it and learn and develop and really the slogan of our company: work hard, stay passionate. So it's like that's always going to be the position that I'm going to come from. So when I'm answering your question, it's not, I was never thinking about like, oh, how can I scale this? How can I get
Mhm.
more trucks on the road? And when I say that, I don't want to take away from anyone out there that's doing that, right? I mean, there's some people that have that strength. I mean, they can scale and they can handle that load. Um, on me, on the other hand, I wanted to stay purposeful. I wanted to protect my peace. I wanted to protect the detailing. I never needed to make a lot of money. That's not what it was about. It was always about just like chasing my why. And I also, by this time, this transition during mobile to go into a shop, I mean, by the time I was 28, I had 4 kids.
Wow.
Okay. So, I mean, there's a lot in between there. So, um, my wife went through a long period, a lot of sicknesses and
Mm.
it was a very challenging season. So I think that even played a role into my ability to like really focus on trying to grow my business. There was a lot of years in that season where it was really just trying to survive mentally,
Mhm.
emotionally, like uh, learning how to be a dad, trying to be a husband, trying to keep this business going. So um, I look back during those seasons, it was really survival all the way up to like 2007. I started, and this is when I'll get into answering your question, the transition. I started going down to Irvine to the McGuire's open garages, and I was a diehard McGuire's user. And I met one of their trainers named Jaime. We got really close.
I remember him.
And he came to me one day and was like, "Hey, you should sell products for us." And I was like, Jaime, the one part of this business I hate is selling the jobs. I just would always hate talking about pricing with customers.
Mhm.
I just wanted to do the work. So I told Jaime, I was like, thanks for the compliment, but I'm not a good salesman. And he's like, I know, but you are, because you're so passionate about what you talk about. Like you believe in it. And like that can sell. I was like, all right, you're kind of humoring me with this. Like, keep going. So he just, look, I'm going to give you a contact. I'm McGuire's. I want you to give him a call. So, I ended up calling and talking to a gentleman named Eric Walker that used to work at McGuire's. And he's like, sends me the paperwork. And it was at 80,000 Chelsea, you gotta understand, I'm week to week at this time financially. It's like just paying the bills, and so I got back to Jaime and I said, "Man, did you know it was an $80,000 buy-in?" And he's like, "Oh, I didn't know it was up that high." I said, "I don't have that kind of money." So he said, "Let me make a phone call." So he called Chad Heath, which was the national sales director of McGuire's at the time, and whatever he said to Chad Heath called me personally and said, "I'm not I don't know you. I obviously though you have this significant relationship with Jaime, and whatever he sees in you, he has asked me to waive the buy-in and just let you be a tier one distributor for McGuire's."
Wow.
So a tier one distributor for McGuire's is like their deepest level of discount to resell their products. So that's what got me into Shine Supply, which led into me transitioning from mobile to a shop. So the only reason I actually ended up getting a shop is because I started selling detailing products. And at first it wasn't even my own, it was McGuire's. And a few years into that, I was getting inventory. I was getting pallets at the driveway, in my driveway at my house. It was like, I can't keep doing this. I need to rent a little shop. So
Yeah.
that's actually what drove me to get a shop. So for
Okay.
most people listening, like that probably isn't too much help because it's really just my story. But if I could speak to that to encourage anyone listening that wants to know when that transition is, um, I've told guys that have asked me that if you can keep mobile going and have a fixed location, that is the ideal setup because
Mm-hmm.
mobile detailing customers are different than a fixed location customers.
Okay.
I mean, when you're doing two-step paint corrections and ceramic coatings and you're doing stuff on a high level, you need to be in a controlled environment. That's no secret, right? You need to have proper lighting, you need to be indoors. That's the kind of stuff that can happen in a fixed location. Um, of course, mobile, you can do it in people's garages. I did that, but it's like you can attract a different kind of clientele when you actually have that fixed location shop. Whereas mobile, you can keep all your maintenance. There's so much need for mobile because even though there's mobile detailers everywhere, um, I dare say like a good majority of them are not treating it like an actual business, meaning they're not calling people back on time. They're not showing up on time to the jobs. They're not being consistent with their schedule. They're not consistent with their pricing. They're not approaching it on that professional level. So people out there, customers, they're always looking to go with somebody else. I mean, I'm in Ventura, California, and people still constantly ask me, "Do you know of anyone good mobile?" And there's mobile detailers everywhere around here.
Yeah.
So it's not that there's not people they can call. It's just they've had bad experiences. So anyone out there looking to like let go of mobile and transition completely into fixed location, I would encourage you to not do that. Keep your mobile going and then transition into a fixed location because then you're having the best of both worlds because they are drastically different.
Would you say mobile is easier to manage than shop, or shop is easier to manage than mobile?
I think they're both extremely hard. I just think I think there's a lot of ego out there that makes mobile guys feel like they're less than
Mm,
the guys with the shop, and it's so sad that guys think like that because if you're out there running your business and doing something with your life and like detailing and trying to be an entrepreneur, like man, you should have your head high. I don't care if you're mobile or have a shop. Like, who cares what form it is? Like, the function of what you're doing is what you should be proud of,
mm.
right? Because you're willing to take that step and you're trying to create something for yourself. So if these guys out there would take that pride in just that aspect alone, they would find themselves way more fueled than just scrolling their phone and looking at all these fancy shops and feeling like they're less than. And then they're not even appreciating the opportunity that's right in front of them. And that's to create this incredible mobile detailing business. And some guys do way better in a mobile environment than in a shop, personality wise. There's guys that like to bounce around to different locations. I was one of them. It's hard for me to be here at the shop every day. It's funny, huh? It's like some guys are like, oh man, that's so cool. Like the season in life you're in, you get to like be in your office. And I'm like, that's miserable.
No, I laugh because
I mean,
as
yeah, there's
someone
moments where it's like, okay, but it's like, I want to move. I like to go to different places and,
that
so
I laugh because as someone who has a home-based detailing business, I don't have structure. I don't have, I mean, every day a different vehicle or, a different, I don't have a same Monday from one Monday to the next. It all looks different. There are some days that I kind of wish I could have that mobile setting that like all of that inconsistency would have a different appearance and not like Groundhog Day, but at not. It's like a weird,
yeah,
it's hard to have consistency when you're detailing, but I think I think I would enjoy the mobile setting, but as a female, like I I struggle with how that could be executed safely because I feel like putting myself in an environment where I don't know what I'm walking into, you know, I don't know. Do you see a lot of mobile female detailers and
I don't. I don't.
yeah.
There's a couple around here.
I know Jessica
But
Tran is what like she was mobile and still
oh,
has
she's so
mobile.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I honestly
she's
she
rad.
scares me a little though, so I don't think she has any any issue
You're not
with
you're not
safety.
crossing her. Yeah.
She's small but mighty, yeah.
Right? Straight up.
No,
Yeah,
but
it's I don't see a lot of that. I hear what you're saying with that.
yeah. It's always one of those things because, like, when my husband and I were talking about, like, how I wanted to grow this and what direction I wanted to go, because he said to me a couple times, like, "Maybe you should get a shop," and I'm like, "I have everything I need here. I don't know why I would need a shop." The only issue for me sometimes is customers wanting to stay at my house, and I've got kids, and I'm like, "It's there's boundaries sometimes that I'm like, we get a little blurred." The mobile
Yeah.
setting was appeasing in that I didn't have to deal with that, but I safety was always the number one thing, but I don't know.
It's like there's this theme out there that's like, oh, when you get a shop, then you're legit. It's like it's legitimized. Like, it's like, oh, you're gonna graduate.
Yeah, you finally arrived.
And it's so disappointing to watch because at the end of the day, who's suffering is the guys that think like that. The guys out there that are mobile that are just so caught up with this idea that the shop legitimizes you is that should not be you should want to shop because you're like the demand's there. That's the next move for me, and I'm going to make it happen because that's what you truly believe in your heart, what you've decided, what is best for you. But so many people nowadays are making decisions based off of what they see online. It's the quote I love. It says the comparison is the thief of joy.
Mm,
We're just comparing ourselves, and it doesn't matter what level you're at, that will just rob you of the joy that comes from just being in the journey. Like, didn't you start mobile because you decided you don't want to punch a time clock anymore? You don't want to just check into that, you know, monotonous job where you just watch the clock all day and you know you're good at something, you can clean cars and you're like, I'm going to go out and do mobile. Like, protect that. Like, be excited about that. I mean, I tell some guys, like, if you got to get off social media, like, get off of it and like handle your business.
mhm.
Like, run your business and build a clientele. And I mean, most of what's happening on social media nowadays anyways, it's just a bunch of dudes. They're just playing around, showing off for each other. It's not like it's actually for customers.
Yeah, I would
I mean,
agree.
of course, there's an element of that, Chelsea, right? Depending on the level of professionalism you bring on social media. But so much of it is just, I and I'm not saying this to knock, I'm saying this actually looking out for guys that are not enjoying the season they're in being mobile. And, of course, yeah, have a goal to have a shot, but you better know that the timing's right because right off the bat, you're taking on thousands of dollars of overhead that you don't currently have, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, you better know it's the right season or you're going to get out of your lane real quick and get yourself into a ditch.
I think I've heard that a lot more for people from going from mobile to shop, almost regretting it. The overhead, the employees, the overturn of employees, training them, all of that. That I know so many people who grew their business that say, man, I regret it. I kind of miss, like you said, kind of the smaller days where things were just simple. And I know sometimes that's physically more grueling, but sometimes it's a little bit more rewarding. But I think there's good points either way. I think you said it well. Doesn't matter what setting you're in, home based, mobile, shop. Do it with integrity. Put 100% of yourself into it. Make sure that your focus is on your customers and not social media and what those people think about you, and just stay in your lane. I think that's one of the best. We
Well,
should
and
just make
quit
a
and
t-shirt for
quit
that
trying
for
to and quit
detailers.
trying to be stop trying to be rich. Everyone's trying to be rich and they don't even know why. You know, that's one of the biggest problems. It's like, haven't we looked around enough and seen people with a ton of money that are absolutely miserable? Like,
Mm,
can we not wake up and realize, like, if you don't just enjoy your journey and get some purpose and get a significant why? Because most people, well, why do you want to be rich? It's like, why do you? I just want a lot of money. Why?
mm,
Why? It won't fix you. It won't fulfill you. And I think if these guys out there, it's like, if you really want to be rich, for one, you're in the wrong industry. you know, like you should do this because it's something that can get you out of bed every morning. And I'm not saying every day you need to be passionate and excited, but like you should enjoy it, even though it's hard. There should be an element where, like, you know what, I can't see myself doing anything else.
mm,
Like I genuinely am glad that I'm in this profession. I really enjoy the satisfaction of taking something and turning it around and the result. It's very fulfilling. Um, just I would just want to encourage guys to just embrace those things because those things are getting lost and it's why so many people are unhappy. And then they end up just attacking each other online and everyone's pulling each other down. And it's hard I can't even relate to that. It's so that's why, and I know I'm kind of moving off topic, but that's one of my biggest struggles with this industry. It's like it just I I guess that's the best way I can say it. I can't relate to it. It's like it's sad,
yeah, I
you
mean,
know?
I would agree with you. You see the guys posting paychecks. I mean, I've seen some $20,000, $30,000, even some where they'll maybe do planes or have multiple vehicles on one paycheck, and they'll show just a ridiculous amount of money. And that's awesome. Detailing can provide that for so many people. But then I feel like if you feel like that is what you have to go for and anything less than that is a failure, that's the part that frustrates me because I can make $300 detailing a car and feel like it was an awesome day, because at the end of the day, I got to be outside. I got to do something that I love to do. I got to make a customer happy, and I'm providing for my family. And at the end of the day, like, I think we need to stop chasing the big details or the big money. And, if it provides for your family, I agree with you. That is something that I've struggled with even, with all of the influences, because doing what I do, I maybe do 2, 3 cars a week. I don't do this full time. I have a family, I have other jobs that I have to cater to. And it's hard sometimes. I feel like I have a little bit of imposter syndrome sometimes when I'm talking to other detailers because I feel like because I'm not to that level, I'm not a real detailer. And it's hard. And I have to remind myself, like, what I do with passion, I do it with integrity, and I'm providing for my family, and it doesn't matter what other people think. So,
Well said. It doesn't matter, and I think that's a challenge for all of us. I think it's something we have to be intentional about, because again, we're in a day and age where your comparison, it's right in the palm of your hand. I mean, you get on social media, and you're going to instantly see people that appear to be doing better than you, right?
mhm.
Appear, and you don't know behind the scenes they have addiction problems, their family's falling apart, they're complete narcissists, like, I mean, et cetera, et cetera. Like, there's so much that we don't see, and we're allowing what we do see to ruin the joy of what we were able to do just today and what we get to do tomorrow. It's like
And
those little things.
yeah, well said.
And I guess I probably made a pretty obsolete statement by saying, if you want to be rich and you're in the wrong industry. I mean, there's a lot of guys that have done really well detailing, so I'm not taking that away. But again, it's, if we just hone in on mobile, like, you're not going to make millions of dollars mobile detailing, you know. But I personally know a couple mobile detailers that are some of the most happy, most fulfilled guys. They work so hard and they're so content, not complacent, but they're content with what they're doing. They love taking care of customers. They have beautiful setups and they're just happy. And then I know other people that have made a ton of money and that run shops, and they're completely stressed out. They battle depression. They have alcohol problems. Their marriage is on the rocks. It's like, and they're not going to tell you that,
You do
right?
see a
They're going to
lot of,
show you. They're going to show you the highlight reel, because that's what you do on social media, right?
yeah,
But
there is a lot of that, I feel. And I don't know everyone in the industry. Um, I would never gander to say that, but I do feel like there's a lot of alcoholism. There's a lot of drug use. I feel like there's a lot of divorce within the detailing industry. It consumes, but it doesn't satisfy sometimes. And what are some things that have helped you? Because I mean, I know little bit of your story. You've shared in videos on your Instagram page and things like that. That marriage struggles and things like that. Like,
yeah,
what what were some of the lessons that you had to learn along the way with being able to manage work and balancing family and all of that?
um, I love that you asked that. I was talking to my wife about an hour ago, and I was telling her I was going to hop on with you, and she's like, "Oh, cool. What's the topic?" And I was kind of getting into it, and she said, "You know what, babe? Like, you've never been a businessman." She's like, "You're a family man," and like that's been the difference with you.
Mhm.
And I think that's why I ran into so many hardships, because at the core, I'm a family man. I always tell people, you want to know what kind of man somebody is? Pull their kids aside and interview their kids. Pull their wife aside and interview their wife. And that's how you're going to know. It doesn't matter what we say, it matters what they say, you know? Um, but one of the biggest mistakes that I got caught up in is that as a family man, everything I was doing in my profession with trying to build this business was for my family. Like, I was like, I'm doing this for my family. So as the demand and as the business grew and more responsibilities came, more finances came, all that kind of stuff, I thought, all right, I'm doing this for my family. I'm handling this. I'm handling all this stress, all the hours away from my family. Like, I'm doing this for my family. And I had like this awakening a few years ago of like, maybe I should ask my family
Mhm.
if they feel like I'm doing this for them.
Mhm.
Because maybe I got caught up, and all of a sudden now I'm doing it for myself.
Mm.
Right? Maybe I just got lost in the movement and the growth and life and all the things that comes with life and growing a business and trying to raise kids, and I found myself just lost in the movement of that, and I was genuinely doing it for myself and I didn't see it.
Mm.
I thought I was doing it for my family because I mean that's how it started out. But there's so many things, Chelsea, that can kind of swoop you up and
Mm-hmm.
you don't see it. So I think one of the most powerful realizations I had is when I really took some inventory of myself, rather than just go what I think, where I think I'm at as a man, but like start checking in with some of the people around me. And that's when I knew some things needed to change, you know. And that started with like getting back to investing in myself.
What does
I
that
was
look
like
like for you?
I was 20 pounds overweight. I had stopped going to the gym. I was comfort eating. I was drinking on the weekends. I didn't drink during the week. But on the weekends, come Friday, go out to dinner, have a margarita. Saturday, rinse and repeat. You come into Sunday just kind of feeling, little hungover from those two margaritas, just kind of be lazy, maybe go to church, just like a complacency. And again, I didn't even see it because when you're externally like having success and things are clicking and things are happening, it's really hard to look inward
Yeah.
and be like, man, I'm not good. And everyone around you is like, you're killing it. Like, look at Shine Supply. And it's like, I'm talking about Jeremy. Like, like I'm talking about me as a person. I mean, external success is only one facet of that. Just means like we're good at one thing. As a man, like, okay, I can build something. Okay, I'm gritty. Okay, I'll be one of the hardest workers in the room, and this part of those traits are what built this company. But that didn't mean I was taking care of myself in these other areas of my life. So physically, mentally, spiritually, some of my childhood traumas started to surface, which I know that's
Mm.
kind of deep, but that's real talk. Um, I think it's what people call midlife crisis. I think it's where you can't outrun some of the pain that's kind of been beneath the surface for a long, long time. You finally got to deal with it. And that's what happened a few years ago. Like I decided to start to fill my own cup instead of like try to make sure everybody else is okay. All my customers, all my dealers, just trying to keep everybody happy, everything going. And I had to get selfish in a good way. And I don't know if you ever heard that statement, Chelsea, where it says a lot of people that benefited from the broken version of you are not going to be happy with you as you get healthy. You ever heard that?
I have.
Right? And that perfectly describes like the last 2 to 3 years.
Because you're
Like
changing you're
there was a
changing their
lot of
norm.
people
Yeah.
that benefited from the broken version of Jeremy that would just like try to keep you happy, try to do everything like, and a lot of it was just out of insecurity,
Mm.
just showing up for everybody else except myself. And as I'm learning, I don't want to say learn, this is a process. As I'm learning to show up for myself and do the things that fill my own cup physically, right? Like I lost the weight. I'm in better shape than I was in my 20s. Um like uh reestablishing my deep faith with God, not religion, but like a genuine connection with God. Um Reconnecting with my wife, getting extremely intentional about the kind of father I am.
Mm.
And that is where I mean, that's my message now. So I love that you title like that because it's like, that's my success, because 3 years ago, those things were hinging. My relationship with my kids were strained. Um, my relationship with my wife was very strained. And it was all because my relationship with myself was strained. Because external success is very blinding. You
Hmm.
know, when you build a multi-million dollar company from nothing, Chelsea, nothing, from the dirt, no loans, nothing. It's very easy to think like, man, I'm killing it. But that's why so many guys, that have all kinds of financial success, they feel like an imposter because they're neglecting the most important things, and they can feel it. They can feel that incongruency within them, and they're like, man, how I feel inside doesn't match how I look outside. And you want to talk about being in a prison? That to me is prison, right?
You're working towards a goal that is never enough.
Oh, it's a miserable way to live. I think more people are stuck in that than not. And I think that's why I literally feel like a calling to just like continue to amplify that message. It's like, I mean, I have an incredible company I built, but the hardest things I've ever done is these last couple of years of trying to build myself.
Hmm.
Like, I could work 90 hours a week. There was something about working myself into the ground that made me, it's like, okay, now I feel like I'm valuable. Now I feel like I'm worth something because I just worked myself in the ground. That's the only time I felt valuable, is just like working. I'd go on vacation and I would not be happy because I was like, I'd feel worthless because I'm resting, you know?
Yeah.
And
There
all that is turned around, Chelsea. All of it. All that's turned around.
do you
It's
feel like it's
incredible.
something you have to continuously work on every day?
Every day.
What are some of the tools that have helped you get to that point? I know you said um kind of doing an internal check and then checking in with others that know you. But what did that look like?
It looked like, number one, being willing to disappoint people, right? Learning how to say no, learning how to set boundaries.
Yeah.
How do you do that? By getting someone in your life that is going to be a mentor. It could be a therapist, it could be a counselor, it could be a close friend. Like, having somebody that is out front of you in life, meaning they have more strength in this area that you can glean from, and they're willing to share that with you and help develop that in you. um, Podcasts, reading, just educating myself on what does it look like to value myself. So, um,
It's
and then
just
the physical part of it was like making commitments. Like, I'm going to get back in the gym. I'm going to change my eating habits. I'm going to address my comfort eating, that we do when we get stressed. It's like, I just got sick and tired of being sick and tired. I got tired of it. I got tired of tolerating that version of myself. Like, I got tired of, um, I mean, basically what I just said a minute ago. I got tired of my external success not matching how I felt inside. So, yeah, practically like getting a mentor. I mean, for me, it was getting in therapy. I just got in some deep therapy and just started handling like all these areas internally where I was hung up, and I had a lot of traction. Um, and then another thing I did is I started a men's group at my shop uh, almost 3 years ago with some close friends in my life. It's a faith-based men's group, and I basically got a group of guys. I sent out a text one day, like a group text, and I said, "Hey guys, I'm ready to make some changes in my life as a man, and I want to know who's ready to run with me because
Mm,
I can't do it alone." And I had 10 guys. I sent it out to 12 people, and 10 of them were like, "We're in."
that's
And I called
awesome.
it the Level Up Men's Group. We started meeting every Tuesday at my shop, and this was back when I had my old smaller location, the several different buildings, and now it's up to 25 guys. So what
Wow,
that did is that held me accountable because I got myself around guys that wanted to go in the same direction as I did because it's really hard to do it alone.
for sure.
So I got myself surrounded by guys that wanted to pursue the same thing. Like,
It's very commendable. I feel like, I don't know. That's something that I personally, like everything you're saying, even as a mom, I've been trying to work on in the last few years. I started going to therapy a few years ago. And like you said, like the more you look inward, sometimes I feel like that's when the devil just tries to bring back all of your past stuff to kind of become a stumbling block or a hurdle for you to grow as a person, and it sometimes is very painful and hard to face those past issues. And I'm a very analytical person. I was a counseling major for like 3 years in college. So I've always been fascinated with, like you said, understand the why, like know why it
yeah,
is that you're doing things. And I think um, I do see a lot of people, not just in this industry, just in general, we're so distracted with everything that's going on, be it social media, the busyness of life, kids, family, things like that, that we really don't look within. And it's not so much as like, what do I want, but just, is this where I want to be? Is this who I want to be? And then, like you said, doing a check-in, and if you're not, doing the hard work. And it is hard. I feel like the work that I've tried to do on my soul, on my mind, on my walk with God the last few years has been some of the most challenging for me. And I feel like I've had the most amount of distraction sometimes from the devil to try to
yeah,
slow that down. And it's hard. And for anyone that is in a position where they're kind of like Jeremy, where they're wanting to kind of just go to that next level as a person, don't give up because it's worth it in the end. Like my marriage has struggled off and on from work and the distractions and everything that comes with it. And even my kids, they're 13 and 10. And doing all of this with social media, it can be very hard to stay present, to set boundaries, that I'm going to get off my phone and be engaged with my family. And it's worth it, but it is hard. Um, so I'm right there with you with everything you said. Not I'm not a man, but even as a female, I have the same struggles. So
yeah,
I deeply resonate with all of that.
yeah.
It's deep stuff. I feel like this is one of
No,
the heavier ones that I've had in a while, but I feel like it's a good conversation, a good topic to have within this industry because I feel like so much of this industry lately has just been like dollar sign driven. Everyone, we see the money that can be made. I feel like it's
mm,
getting a little greedy, the industry. Our focus is just
yeah,
about how much money we can bring in. And I don't know how to shift that to kind of what you're talking about, where it's just about character and fulfillment and peace.
yeah,
I feel like some of that is just a spiritual journey that some people have to take. And honestly, sometimes I feel like without God, I don't know if they'll be able to get to that level. Because there is a peace that sometimes you can only experience with having that relationship with God.
yeah.
But I'm not meaning to preach,
No,
but
no, I get you. Yeah, and I'm so delicate with that because I just, I always want people to feel, or I never want people to feel judged. Like we're just, like you're saying, and obviously, like, well, without God, it's not possible. It's like I call it the God hole. Like There's a reason why people make billions of dollars and they're absolutely miserable. Like, what's the missing link? What is it? They have
Mhm.
everything. I call it the God hole. So I just leave it at that, you know. But I think if we pay attention, um, I think if people can be honest with themselves and actually take a minute and think and check in with themselves, it's like, are you truly fulfilled? You know? But I feel
Mhm.
sorry, especially for some of the younger generation. Like my generation sits there and rags on them all the time. But my generation, we're being a horrible example because you know what we're doing? We're on social media showing our cars, our houses, and all this, and we're saying, "Hey, be an entrepreneur, keep hustling, man, keep grinding, keep doing this and that, and like this is where you're gonna be. Like if you don't quit, like you could have this." And it's such a broken message because there's so many people out there that might not even want the Lamborghini. Like
Mhm.
they might be that the cars might not even be their thing. Maybe success is for them is like having a job they really enjoy, having great interactions with their customers or with their boss, having a nice girlfriend that they love, you know, getting married someday, maybe being able to go on vacation once a year to Spain or go to Hawaii. Like their their picture might be completely different, but it's constantly pushed down this generation or it's pushed on them of that it looks like this. And I mean, how many times do you see on social media a guy my age that's been in business a long time that has had a lot of external success financially and they're saying they're bragging on that they're still married and they have a great relationship with their wife and their kids don't hate them. They actually spend time with their kids and have developed a friendship with their adult children and like that's not typically the message that you hear,
Yeah.
you know, and it's almost being portrayed as like that's old fashioned or something. And I'm here to like continually uh, stand in opposition of that. It's like no, it's not old fashioned. It's it's principles that create a lot of fulfillment. Like at the end of the day, as human beings, like I think all of us could agree one of the most meaningful things we can have in life is a quality relationship with another person,
Mhm.
like quality relationships. And we're trading a lot of that in for like superficial stuff online. Like we think we're so connected with each other online. We think people are our friends. You don't even know them. You don't even know them. Just because you DM back and forth, they live in a whole nother state. You don't know them, you know, and we're just overlooking light in front of us, which could be a great conversation, you know, with a local friend or, you know, a client, or there's so much that's overlooked. You know, it's why I mean on my personal Instagram, Chelsea, I'm very discreet on what I put up on there. You know, it's just because I don't want that to be my message. You know, I want to show a little bit of it because there are guys out there that it like fires them up in a good way, but there's just too much of that out there. You know, and there's not enough encouragement to encourage guys to just stay in their lane, which that might be there's dudes that are in mobile, you know, they're out there mobile detailing and they're not cut out to be an entrepreneur. They would do much better finding somebody to work for and just get paid really well.
Mhm.
And part of their unhappiness might come from they're trying to be something they're not because social media is telling everybody that you know being an entrepreneur is the only way to go and you need to quit building somebody else's dream. It's just a very broken message, you know, because we're all so different. And the best thing we could do is know what our lane is and stay in our lane. Know what your giftings are and just embrace your giftings and just get obsessed with like what you're gifted at, whatever that might be.
And maybe you've just answered it, but you said, you know, how the older generation and maybe we might be categorized into that. I'm 40. You said you're what, 50? Almost
I'm
50?
48. Yeah.
48. Not quite yet. What would you say are your words of wisdom that you would have for the next generation, or the younger detailer that's up and coming?
That's a good one. I'll have to go back to what I talked about a minute ago, and the number one thing I would tell them is don't compare yourself. Don't compare yourself to other people. I'll have younger kids come by the shop, and I might happen to be out front, and they'll get in a conversation with me, and I'll always ask them, "What's up, man? What do you got going on? Like, what are you doing? You just got a mobile business going?" "Oh yeah, I'm all excited." And one of the first things they'll say is, "Well, I'm not where you're at." And I'll look at them and I'm all, "Don't say that. Don't say that. Like, don't you take away from what you're doing right now." Because the
Mm,
thing is you didn't see me when I was where you were at. And that's the problem. Like no one sees all that stuff. And I said, and if you would have seen me, one thing you would have known about me is that I was so proud of what I was doing. I was like, so be proud. So that's what I would say. Like, be proud of what you're doing. Take pride in what you're doing each day. Take pride in the results. Take pride in that you're not cutting corners and you are claying their roof and you're not lying to customers and you're not trying to overcharge some guy because you feel like he has more money. Take pride in the principles. That's what I would tell them. Like, don't take pride in the show, because the thing is that the worst part about lying and being a phony and a fake online is that you're lying.
mhm,
So that's one thing I want to tell the younger generation is stop faking it, because you're only hurting yourself. You're taking away from the cool stuff you're actually doing.
mm,
Because anyone out there trying to run their own business, like that already is like a massive step that's very respectable. So don't compare yourself. Take pride in the process. Put people before profit, meaning like see the person, see the customer. Don't see the ticket.
mm,
If you put people first, those people, what they will do is they will talk about you. They're going to tell their friends about you. They're going to want to support your business. And that is going to end up putting money in your pocket. And I call it the right kind of money, because you can get money out there. And if you don't get it the right way, you're not going to be fulfilled. And everybody, from the moment they take their first breath in the morning, everybody at the end of the day wants to be fulfilled and happy. They want to have a sense of fulfillment. And it is impossible for profit alone to give you fulfillment. What gives you fulfillment is purpose and principles. So be a man and a woman that is driven by principles. And if you're like, well, I don't know what that is, and I wasn't raised like that, you'll join the club. Neither was I. Like, it wasn't modeled to me. Like, my dad never pulled me aside and had some deep conversation with me about anything. Like, you will have to go out and become what you didn't have. You will have to learn. You will have to become a student of some of this stuff. So that's another thing I would teach this younger generation. Like, delete some of your apps, minimize the notifications on your phone, and start checking in with your own notifications. Start checking in with your own dash lights, so to speak, that are going off in your head. Like, start paying attention and don't ignore those things, because the best investment that the younger generation can make in their business or even as an employee is in themselves. I talk to my staff about this all the time. We have weekly staff meetings. I'm like, guys, you want to be a better employee? Invest in yourself when you're outside of this property.
mm.
Take time for yourself, work on yourself, like go for hikes, like read, like be intentional. Like So that's what I would want to tell the younger generation. Like, stop being so distracted, and stop believing the lies that you're seeing all over Instagram, that like wealth is the win. It's not the win. Now it's great, but it's what I teach my boys. My boys are 20, 22, 23, and 28. Yeah. Okay. So I got men as boys. And
Wow.
I tell them, you know what, guys? It's not about the car. It's about who's in the car with you. It's not about the house. It's about who's in the house with you.
Mm.
And we are in an era where this younger generation, they needs to pay attention, because my generation, they are unhappy and they're miserable. And it's just riddled with divorce and alcoholism and pornography and all kinds of other vices. And men are twisted up right now, worse than I've ever seen. And we're supposed to be the model to this generation coming up. We're not vulnerable. We're not honest. I mean, look at even our industry. Like, I see leaders in our industry like bashing each other. It's like, it's an embarrassment. It's an
Mm.
absolute embarrassment. It's like, I want no part of it, Chelsea. That's why I just stay in my lane, do my thing over here at Shine Supply. It's like, and it's not because I'm snobby. It's just, I don't have no part of it. Like, and I'm not judging it. It's just like, we're better than that. So anybody listening to this that feels guilty from that, it's like, you're better than that. We're just capable of more. But it ain't going to start till somebody starts being the voice, and I'm going to mic up and be the voice. Like, I'm going to say it.
I love it.
I'm going to say it because I have crushed it again, Chelsea. Like, I have, like, I can like get out, if we want to have the scorecard and see who's done well, like I can get the scorecard out. Like, I've crushed it.
Mm.
And that's not what I take pride in. It's not. It's all this stuff.
Well, it shows. Everyone in the chat is just saying, "Wow, this guy is like, this is deep." This is like, in the chat. It's been funny. I don't know if you're reading any of the comments in the backstage. Um,
No, I can't
normally,
see him.
normally they're just having conversations with one another, but you actually quieted them for quite some time. I could tell what you were saying was really resonating with people.
Why is this guy all worked up?
No, and I mean,
It's just, yeah, I just care, I care. I was that kid that shouldn't have been, and like, I want to see all these guys make it, and what I mean by make it is like, I want to see them fulfilled, and I want to see them be proud of their journeys. Like, I want to see them put up posts because that's what they want to put up, not because they're trying to fit in or one up some other guy, or it's just, there's so much garbage out there right now. I mean, even the educational, Chelsea, in our industry, it's like, I see educational stuff out there that's literally like, it's just to get clickbait. It's just to get views on YouTube. And I understand there's a monetary aspect. It's like, well, we're trying to make money. And it's like, all right, well, at what cost? Like, we're confusing this whole younger generation that actually wants to learn. you know, it's but I get it. I mean, it'd only be in a perfect world that we would all lock arms and align on our principles and our ethics and our morals and like do things the right way. It's like, it's not going to happen. But if I can make a dent in that, like, I believe that's part of the purpose of Shine Supply. Like, if we can leave the 17-year-old kid out there that doesn't want to go punch a time clock, that wants to go wash some cars and like do something with his life, like, if I can like put some wind in that kid's sails, like, man, that just fills my tank as a man. Let me tell you a quick story. I was with my wife last weekend. My shop's in Ventura. We were in Oxnard, it's one town over. I saw this kid with his mobile setup pulled over on a side street with an A-frame sandwich sign that you'd see out in front of like a sandwich shop or something, A-frame
Hmm.
sign, and it said car wash. And he had a canopy. So he was just posted up, waiting for somebody to pull up, and he was just washing, and he'd wash their car. And we needed to be somewhere, and my wife noticed I didn't take the right turn. I drove over to where she's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I gotta say something to this kid." She's like, "Okay, okay." So I roll down he's on the passenger side, right? I roll down the passenger window, and before I can even get a word out, he's like, "Jeremy, Shine Supply, oh my gosh!" And I was like, "Bro, I don't know you." I was like, "But I saw your setup, and I just got to tell you, man, like, way to go, dude. I love seeing this. Like, I love what you're doing. It just reminds me of my roots, man. And I'm proud of you, man. Like, I don't even know you, but like, it's obvious, like, you could just be at home today saying, oh, I don't have any clients, but you're just posted up here. And I love it, man. Like, this is what it's all about." And he kind of moves out of the way, and all I see on his tailgate is Shine Supply products. And I didn't even know that before, because I couldn't see it, before I pulled up. And it just, I was so excited driving off. I just looked at my wife and I'm like, that still like does it for me.
Mm.
And I think there's something to be said. I don't think that's just a me thing. I think that is just like us as human beings. Like, I think there's something powerful about like celebrating what somebody else is doing. And just realizing like it's not feast or famine out there, guys. It's like there's so much for everybody to eat, right? There's so much work out there. There's so many customers. There's so much space for every product brand. Geon and CarPro and PNS. There's so much space. It's why I don't talk crap about nobody, because it's like it's Nike, Adidas, or Puma. Like, what brand do you want to get behind? It's
Yeah.
all good. Like everybody is going to eat if they stay in the game, stay in the fight, keep applying themselves, keep building their brand. So I just want to see guys like take all that energy they put into the crowd, so to speak, and just put it into what your dream is, what your why is, what your purpose is. Because, man, I'll tell you, this kid on the side of the road that day, like, he had it. He's like, "Bro, I just quit McDonald's. Like, I follow all your stories, and I'm like so fired up, and I'm going to come by the shop next week." And I was like, "Bro, I can't wait to see you." And yeah, I can't say enough about that kind of stuff, because that's what's up for me. Like,
That had to be the
that's,
most like fulfilling
uh,
feeling. It'd be
it's,
like a proud dad moment, you know?
It's exactly. So it's just like, because I see me,
Yeah.
it makes me emotional, because I see me in these kids. And when I see the industry robbing all these youngsters of like just the joy of what got them into detailing in the first place, it's why it says work hard, stay passionate. There's some people that are just doing this because it's a business and they can monetize it. Like, that's great. I think a majority of us that got into detailing got into it because we really like it.
Yeah.
I think we have more of that than the other, you know? And those are the guys that need to constantly be encouraged with that. It's like, bro, chase that passion, man. Like, don't let anybody take that away from you. Don't let anybody tell you there's a right way or a wrong way. Right, Chelsea? Like, we're so good at that. Like, oh, bro, you should be doing this and you should have a shop, or you should be. It's like we're suffocating each other, or Rotary or DA, or you should be using this. It's like, get out of here with all that stuff. Like,
Trust me. Uh, Do you do you
it's
do much of the
crazy.
content creation these days?
You know what? My son Colby, he's worked for me right out of high school. He's way smarter than I was book wise. He could have gone and worked anywhere. He wanted to follow my footsteps. Like, he's incredible. Like, all my boys are incredible. But Colby chose to work here right out of high school, and I put him through every stage of the business, because I was like, you are never going to be that kid that's like, oh, this is my dad's company and
Yeah.
kind of entitled. And like, Colby will clean the bathrooms here. So he's been through every pace. Like, I put him out mobile because we got back into mobile a couple years ago. He's done shipping. He can do downfilling. But in this last year, he has taken over the media. So he does all the videos on the Instagram,
Tell
because we
him
knew,
good job because
oh, he crushed it.
you guys have
Yeah,
amazing content
that's
online.
all Colby. And I mean, there's time like we strategize together on like the beadlock black video and stuff like that, which is cool. Like me and him will work together, but we don't have a marketing department. Like it's Colby.
Wow.
It's Colby, and then I will work on like graphical stuff. I'll work with my guy that helps me. He's an outsourced guy that's been with me since day one. I work with him on like hat designs or the shirt designs or all the products, the labels, writing the labels, naming the products. I do all that myself to this day, all of it.
You guys have some of the coolest
So,
t-shirts, like logos, branding, like they are just the coolest. Like I want to own one of every one of your shirts.
well, and you know what? And that's another point to be made, Chelsea, is like we're just being us. So, like, even
Mhm.
our new stuff coming out that says explore the shine, and it's kind of got this get outdoors vibe to it.
Mhm.
Like, as a family, we, ever since my kids were little, we like to go camping and dirt bike riding. That's what we do together. We don't
Mhm.
fly to Hawaii or we don't do stuff like we like to go out and get out in nature. And so we're just expressing who we are. And
Mhm.
that is always going to be everybody's power source is always going to come from them being who they are. Stop trying to copy this business. Like, pull from ideas, of course, but be you, because there's only one of you. So when you look at Shine Supply, this is just an expression of who we are. All the product names are, I love the 50s. I love vintage. Like,
Yeah.
I'm very lighthearted at the core. So it's like, I mean, I got some new stuff coming out from my boat line, like the sealant. I named it Skipper. Like, I just have fun with stuff.
I was going to ask you. I feel like we've gone so deep on the success side of things that we didn't really actually touch on the products, which was one of the things that I wanted to kind of touch on. I know that you said that and
Just real quick to that, it's funny. Every podcast I'm on, people want to get into like the products and want me to like pitch something. And I'm like, I don't even want to talk about that.
well,
It's
and
back
and
to that
maybe we'll just
horrible
leave it as
salesperson.
go to the website and check it
No,
out.
it's all good. I'll answer your question for sure.
What is new coming from Shine Supply? I've done a ton of on my YouTube channel. I've worked with a ton of your products. I had the
Yeah.
privilege when I was really tight with Car Supplies, and I still am with Car Supplies Warehouse, but um getting to work with all of your ceramic coatings, all of your products, every single one of them, I was just blown away. I was kind of curious, like, how are your products made? Like, do you guys are they kind of white label, private label, or are they like patented formulas? Like, what all goes
Yeah.
into the design of your
Well, that's
products?
another thing. This industry, sometimes people try to, be real secretive with that kind of stuff. And I get that. Again, every to each his own. We have a blending company that I've been dealing with all the way back in 2008. Um, every blending company will have stock blends that you can take and just adopt that stock blend.
Mhm.
In particular, like I took stock blends and changed things. Some things weren't adjusted. Some things like compounds, I took my knowledge, being knowing how I want something to work,
Mhm.
and blending that with somebody that understands chemistry at a blending company, and you can come up with some really cool stuff. Uh, a lot of that happened at the ground level, like Classic Cut and some of our first compounds. So, uh, no, it's not just like getting a stock blend and like slapping a label on it. But I do feel like it's important to say anyone out there that has found a blending company and just takes a stock blend and puts their label on it and goes through all the time and effort it takes to create a label and write a label and then go to a car show and try to sell it or put their stuff up online, like that's all good effort. And no one should be able to take anything away from that person, because every industry is like that, right? I tell
Yeah.
people like this: you go to Starbucks and you get coffee beans, you're going to get coffee beans right down the road at Jolly Joe's coffee shop. It's like, where do you want to go get coffee?
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to have some slight tweaks to that coffee based on how it was roasted. But at the end of the day, like, the beans are all coming from a similar area. So the magic happens is in the roasting, and then in the way it is branded. The power is in the brand, right? The products have to perform, but also the power is in the brand. And there's so much to a brand that can almost be like a whole nother podcast of like, how do you create a brand? How do
Mm-hmm.
you create something that stands out from the crowd? Because you're going to have that, you know? But hopefully I'm answering that question. 95% of our products, like, go back to that analogy of the coffee. Like, I have made sure that it has my personal approach to how I want that to function. So
Well,
that's how we do it.
I will say I love your matte interior detailer, your beadlock pro ceramic coating, ridiculously easy to apply. Loved working with it. I mean, for those, I don't want this to be a sales pitch. I know that there are a lot of people that have used Shine Supply that are big fans of them. For those that haven't, check them out. I do think that you guys have some of the best stuff on the market, even if it is from a bigger blender. But I feel like 95% of the products out there are from bigger blenders,
Sure.
like you were saying. Like
Absolutely.
we can't
Yeah.
knock it just because it comes from big blending. There's like
Well, and
really
we're
what,
probably one of the only industries that gets real petty with that. Like,
yeah.
the wheel industries like that, the tire industries like that,
The food
a lot of
industry is
the
like that.
food. I mean, it's just, we're so unique in the detailing industry that we get so petty about that, and we try to take credit away from guys that have, like, done incredible stuff with
Hmm.
brands, or guys coming out feeling like they need to make everyone assume they're mixing it up in their bathtub. It's just,
I
it's,
really don't
it
want it to
blows.
be mixed in the bathtub.
No, it blows my mind. And if they are, like, that's incredible. Um, but I
You
think
guys,
one thing, Chelsea, that does make our brand very unique is that I'm still an active detailer. This is my 29th year. We
that's
have an
amazing.
active detail shop on property. So everything we sell, we use at Stevens Detailing. So that's one thing that makes us unique as one of the bigger brands right now, is that we're not going to sell anything that we're not going to use every day.
Hmm.
And our quality at Stevens Detailing is extremely high. The expectation, the bar is very high for that company. So we're not going to do anything that's subpar. Everything from a wheel cleaner to a coating. So,
Wise guy is the
everything.
best.
So I think what happens is some of the bigger companies, if you're driven by profit, you're going to take and dilute a raw material out of a product that could make it work on a certain level, and you're going to dilute that down, because over the course of your annual sales, you can drastically increase your profit by just changing that a little bit. But then on the user end, it's not going to perform as well. So that's one thing I won't do. Like, I'm not going to dilute something down. We have several things that are concentrated, and I think that helps us have the respect in the detailing industry, is that guys they use our stuff, and I believe it's easy to see it's backed by somebody that's actually a detailer, not just selling detailing products.
I do have a couple questions. Seems
Yeah.
like most of them are from Stay Wet. He says, "What's new coming out?"
So we're dropping a product next Friday. Uh, I'm going to leave some excitement with that one. It's just kind of more of a simple product, but yeah, Colby will get mad if I say that, because we like to have that build up. But
We've worked so hard.
yeah, one thing I am doing that I just wrapped up, I've been working on for the last year, personally is I'm adding 3 new products to my boat line to complete our boat line.
Okay.
So I've had a lot of demand over the last few years. Like, people want a designated boat soap. So I've always encouraged them to use our Shift, but especially boat owners in particular, because our clientele is about split 50-50, like professionally detailers and DIY.
Okay.
So I answer that demand. We're making a boat soap. I'm calling it Jetty. It's kind of fun.
I like it.
That's going to come out in a few months. So a designated boat soap, um, a designated ceramic spray for gel coat. That's
Okay.
going to be called Launch. It's going to pair well with Aftermath, because Aftermath is what you wipe down after a day on the water to get off the water spots from the day. And then Launch will be your preload before you launch your boat. We're going to call it an all-surface sealant. It's kind of play off the chemistry of our Punch It ceramic detailer, but a lot more user-friendly in hotter, heavier, humid climates. Sorry, I said
Okay.
clients. It's going to have a much better function in those kind of climates. You can spray it directly on the boat. It has no dye in it. It's going to work great on like your boat glass, your railings, your rub rails, your painted surfaces. So
Okay.
that's called Launch. And then the last product will be called Skipper, and it's a ceramic fortified sealant.
Okay.
So it's for, people that, they might not be in the budget to coat the boat, or a DIY person that just doesn't want to mess with coating. They just want to do something more simpler. Skipper will be the fit. Because we have the Wake Up, which is a one-step like polish and protection. So it's got abrasive in it
Hmm.
and protection, where Skipper will just be solely protection, no abrasive. So that'll really complete our lineup. Then we'll have the maintenance spray to preload with, the after spray, the sealant, the one-step polish and protection, the heavy cut, which is the heavy compound, the boat soap, and then we have the Sunsetter is the interior conditioner for the seats.
Okay.
So I'm really excited about that. I feel like it's a very simple, straightforward lineup. It's very user-friendly, easy to understand. Again, whether you're a pro or a DIY.
Stay Wet
So other than
has
that, Chelsea, let me answer that question. One thing I'm doing is I'm just going through all of our lineup and improving on everything we currently have that I can improve on more, even if it's down to a label,
really.
revisiting labels and like reintroducing a product to help it make a little more sense. Maybe the first time I came out with the label, it wasn't as straightforward as it could have been. So again, considering I wrote all that myself, I'm going to go back in and just reevaluate it and see how I can make things better. So
Very cool. I'll look for I guess, would it be classified as a relaunch? Some of them you might not need to.
yeah, like Slickback's going to be a relaunch, same formula, different presentation, same name, but instead of calling it a primer polish, I'm calling it a ceramic polish. And
Okay.
really on the back on the instructions, I'm breaking down how its primary use here at Stevens Detailing is we use it for all our maintenance polishing on vehicles that have been ceramic coated. So we don't typically use it as a primer polish.
Okay.
We're more using it as a maintenance polish for vehicles that have been coated that we want to clear up some light defects. So
And it doesn't
Slickback,
remove the coating.
no, it's not. It's very, very light abrasive in it to where it's not going to cut all the way through that layer, but it's going to refine the top layer, and then we reload it with our relock. So I'm presenting that on the back of the label on how we do that here at Stevens Detailing to maintenance cars annually that we have ceramic coated. So that's just
Okay.
one of them that I'll be reintroducing, but same formula.
Okay, because Stay Wet wanted to know, can Slickback be used before any ceramic coating?
I mean, that's a pretty loaded question. I mean, I couldn't answer that honestly because I have not used it prior to every single coating on the market. But I mean, it
Okay.
plays well with the general chemistry of most coatings. But again, we're finishing all our cars here at Stevens Detailing with either classic polish or classic finish plus, rather than using a primer polish. That's when we're
Okay.
doing like a two-step correction. So you can use Slickback as a primer polish. We have actually over the last couple of years liked it more as strictly a maintenance polish for vehicles that have already been coated that just need to be cleared up a little bit.
What pad are you using with Slickback when you use it that way?
We love it with the HDO orange foam, or Buff and Shine came out. They have their new beveled edge pad, the yellow.
Okay.
I think it's slipping my mind. You seen those new pads, Chelsea? They have
I
like the
have.
blueberry, the
Yeah.
maroon, the yellow, the black.
Yeah, it's supposed to have like a little bit of a space between the backing plate and that, so that way when you get in tight on places, you don't hit it with your backing plate.
Yeah, but again, most yellow foams are similar, so it's their yellow.
Okay.
But if I had my pad of choice with Slickback, it would be the orange foam, the Lake Country H2O orange foam. That is like peanut butter and jelly. That and
Okay.
Slickback is the jam on our maintenance polish.
Good to know. Ryan Curtis wants to know, can we please get 6-inch tango pads?
That's a custom pad that Lake Country does for us.
It's
And
it's
we
a
have to
good pad.
order.
I worked with it.
Yeah, it's pretty rad. We have to order so many of them. I might just have to pull the trigger and get it in 6-inch, and maybe Ryan Curtis can buy 100 of them so they don't sit on the shelf. No, I'm
Ryan,
just
can you
kidding.
commit?
Can you commit to 500, Ryan? Um, yeah, that's definitely been something that is talked about regularly here that we might be doing. The demand continues to increase for that.
So, Dark Dragon 525 wants to know, are you a rinseless guy or no? And
Um,
you have Eco Shine, but 2 ounces a gallon. Maybe I should say an update to Eco Shine. That I don't know what he's trying to say with that question, but maybe you could
I'm
clarify,
gonna, I'm gonna
Dark
try to
Dragon.
I'm gonna try to read between the lines there. Rinseless guy. So, like waterless and rinseless are kind of a play on words in my world. You know.
Okay.
So, uh, Eco Shine. I typically anytime. Let me just answer it like the way I use it, and maybe that will help. So, our Eco Shine waterless wash, I don't personally ever use it in a bucket. Like if I'm going to do a bucket wash, I'm going to do soap, foam, the whole thing, wash mitts. When I'm using Eco Shine, I'm going to use it uh, like as a waterless where uh, let's say I've washed my truck on a Friday and it's Sunday and it's got a little light layer of dust on it. I'm going to douche the panel with Eco Shine, do one pass with my towel, lift off my light debris with that one pass method. So there's no like back and forth abrasion. And then I'm going to finish it out. And I mean, if anyone that's seen even though it's white, my Denali, you could eat off of it. There's not a swirl in it. So I'm a big fan of that method done right.
Okay.
So,
Go
but
crazy with the
people,
product.
yeah, I get like maintenance washes. Some guys, they do car collections or cars that don't get driven that much. They want to get out the bucket and do that kind of wash without actually having to use water. I mean, Eco Shine, it works great for that. I mean, 2 ounces, 4 ounces. I mean, there's so much margin in that to like that I leave up to just preference.
Mm-hmm.
He states Eco Shine is waterless, but the dilution isn't standard.
Maybe because he's thinking 256 to 1.
Oh, like a O&R or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Eh.
that's the dilution. All I can say is the dilution is accurate on our end. That's why I encourage guys like, hey, if O&R is more cost effective for you, like use it. Like my dilution that I stayed on there is the dilution I recommend for EcoShine. It definitely is. It has a different function than O&R. As far as like leaving a little bit of gloss and stuff like that. But again, like that's where I don't try to convert anybody. I'm like, you use what works for you and what's cost effective. And if you're getting the results, like run it, you know, decon soap versus dedicated water spot remover.
Do you guys have a decon soap? An acid-based soap?
We don't have a decon soap because again, that's me as a detailer. Like I don't like decon soap, so I'm
Yeah,
not
your
going to launch
your
anything.
spot your water spot remover is one of my favorites.
Yeah, I'm just not going to launch anything that I wouldn't use. So
Yeah.
decon soap, like if I'm going to do decon, if we're on the same page,
Hmm.
when I do decon, I am going to use our smooth move, which is our paint decontaminator, and I want to use that straight. I do not want it diluted with any kind of soap. Because if I'm going to decon, I want the full potential of that product decontaminating the paint, and then I'm going to soap it afterwards. Like anytime I've used a decon soap, I'm always reducing my results. And everything as a detailer for me, doing it for profit is time. So it's I don't look at it as like I'm saving a step by soaping and deconning. I'm like, no, I'm not getting the result. So now I'm gonna have to clay longer after, or I'm gonna have to decon it twice because it's not pulling the fallout like I want. So I'm gonna use a dedicated decon and then I'm gonna soap after. Now, if something's not super heavy with bonded contaminants, I just tell guys, hey, make a cocktail. And what I mean by that is take smooth move and hot shot soap and put it together in a foam gun, and then you have your decon soap.
Hmm.
I don't want to clutter my brand with all these different products when I could just teach somebody, hey, if you really want a decon soap, just mix these two together. A couple ounces of the smooth move, couple ounces of the hot shot, you know,
I'll have
foam
to
her
try that
down.
out.
Yeah, we teach that even after winter. You got heavy grime after a rain, snow on the road. I'll tell guys, hey, if you want like a heavier cleaning soap rather than me come out with a new product, take shift soap or hot shot, whatever your choice is, or even shine soap, and put a couple ounces of our whole shot, our off-road cleaner, which is a very pH friendly cleaner.
It's
Put some
dope.
of that in your foam gun, and then you're going to boost the cleaning ability of that process. Again, rather than coming out with another product, I'm just, I always want to show guys like how to just mix two together.
The questions keep coming in. Devil's in the Details says decon soap versus APC.
So decon soap to me, I'm always referring that as an iron remover. So I'm not sure if I'm on the same page with the devil's in the detail with that. Like decontamination means I'm trying to get off bonded contaminants, which are, you know, typically iron particles that need to come
Okay.
off with a dedicated iron remover or a clay bar. Whereas an APC is addressing dirt and grime. It's not going to remove bonded iron contaminants from your paint.
I think
So I'm
some.
going to address bonded contaminants with decon. I'm going to use APC for like heavier road grime,
Mhm.
dirt, stuff like that that's on the lower rocker panels. So it's like APC on lower rocker panels, decon soap like mid door to upper panels and roofs, because that's typically where we're seeing the most fallout. The
Mhm.
back tailgate of vehicles, right, from exhaust,
Mhm.
outside of the Tesla drivers.
So maybe
But
both.
yeah, that's how I split it. APC down low, decon products up high. And that's how you can save money with something like Smooth Move. That's our decontamination liquid. Is you don't need to be smooth moving all the way from the top to the very bottom rocker panel, because typically that lower 12 inches, you're not having bonded contaminants as far as like an iron material. You're having more like maybe some road tar, heavier road grime. So that saves guys money, like focusing those iron removing decon products on your tops and like hood, roof, back gates, and then top of your fenders, and then use your APC in a decon process for your rockers.
Okay. Stay Wet has another question. I'm confused on how to use clutch. I've seen people use it like a wax, spray, and let haze. I've seen spray and
Um,
wipe. What's the right way?
So Frankie, I did a YouTube video a little while back on clutch. I encourage you to go watch that. I break it down really thorough. I did use these purple towels from the Radco that I really liked. So don't let that throw you off that you have to use those exact towels. Um, I will say though, clutch levels very nice with a lower pile microfiber towel.
Hmm.
Another thing that helps with clutch, and I go over this in the video, is apply it to the entire vehicle and let it set up while you go in and do your vacuuming or do your wheels. The better that stuff sets up, the easier it will be to level. And it does somewhat level like a coating, meaning like a two towel, like you're breaking kind of the top surface, and then you're going to come back with the second towel and level it out. So when
It'll
you
have
use
a
a
little
high,
grab.
it has a definite grab. It's very concentrate.
It's
So
amazing on trim, though.
when you level it with a high pile microfiber towel, you're actually putting streaks in the product with the towel fibers because the product's trying to set up. And when you're seeing all the streaks and stuff, a lot of that is coming from that high pile microfiber towel. So I encourage guys, like, use something like the Radco sells the pearls, and I know other companies do too, but
Hmm.
a short nap microfiber towel works really great for leveling that. But yeah, go to the YouTube channel, Shine Supply, watch that video I did on clutch. You will find that really helpful.
We had one more question here. I need to take a class at Stevens Detailing. I know that we had said this. Do you
Yeah.
offer
Um,
classes normally
I
and like
I didn't do any classes last year just because we moved buildings.
okay.
I changed a lot of other foundational things at the company as far as some management help I had here. Like I really restructured some stuff, so I had to put the training on hold so that I could put all my focus and attention on that. Um, I am going to do a couple 1-day classes this year. So I'm
Okay.
going to kind of pack my 2-day class into like a 1-day, and they're going to be really effective. So um, anybody that's interested in that, check out shinesupply.com. Look under the training tab. I give a thorough breakdown on what my class is about, how it will be, how it differs from, another training you might take, what the focus is, making sure it's a good fit for guys that want to come. So, Frankie, definitely check that out.
He already said sign me up. Well, Jeremy, thank you so much for coming on, for sharing your heart, for sharing, what it is that you feel like God has given you your message to share. I feel like this is your legacy, for the detailing industry to be able to teach lessons like this. So I hope all of you who've tuned in take something away from the encouragement that you offer, that just really solid words that I feel like um, a lot of us could benefit from. So thank you for sharing your time and expertise in that.
Absolutely. And if I could throw a plug out there, I will be starting my podcast in May. It's called Wagon Pullers. It's based off the first 6 years of Shine Supply when would have a pallet of product dropped off in my driveway. I would get home from mobile detailing. My kids were little. We would break the pallet down and we'd put it on this yellow wagon and we'd pull it down the driveway and load it in this back shed on my property. That wagon is now hanging in the front store here in our showroom.
Hmm.
So the podcast is basically based off of like it's a metaphor of like everybody in life is pulling some kind of wagon. There's something you're doing that you feel like quitting, you feel like it's a waste of time, you feel so much external pressure, a lot of what we talked about this evening. And I'm encouraging you, don't quit. Don't quit. Like if you believe that there's something behind what you're doing, it doesn't matter what anybody says, it doesn't matter what you see online. Don't quit because it will pay off. And I am not saying that in a monetary way. I'm saying it will pay off in the things that matter most. And that's when you can look back at yourself and go, man, I did it. I didn't throw in the towel when everything in me wanted to. And you will have that deep sense of pride that no matter who hates on you, who's jealous of you, who doesn't like you, who celebrates you in life, you will celebrate yourself because you know you put the work in. and you know you are going to continue to put the work in. So it's the wagon pulling seasons of life. It's basically like, what's your story? What's your story of how you persevered? So the first episodes will be me really deep diving into my story. I mean, on like a deep level. We have an Instagram. It's Wagon Pullers. You guys check that out. We have a YouTube we have started. There's nothing on it yet. The first episode starts in May. And then after I lay the foundation of just my story, I'm going to bring on different people in my life that have incredible stories, like people that have suffered. They've lost a son, or or they went to jail and they got out and did something with themselves. Like, it's all going to be bringing people on, allowing them to share their story. So, almost more than tapping in with Shine Supply, please tap into that, because I want you guys to be encouraged. I want you guys to stay in the fight. I want you to stay committed to what you believe in your heart that you can do with your life, because you can. And I'm living testimony to that. Like, I don't say this lightly. Like, if I'm sitting here with you, Chelsea, and I'm sitting here with whoever's listening, like, you can do it.
Humberto asked real quick, can you remind everyone what's your YouTube channel?
The Shine Supply YouTube channel is Shine Supply.
Okay.
The Wagon Pullers is Wagon Pullers, just like it sounds. The Instagram is Wagon Pullers.
Okay.
And yeah.
If you guys haven't been encouraged by this episode, check your pulse. Because seriously, this was a good one. I'm like hyped up. It's too bad that it's like 9. What is it? 9.
I know
it's
been
10
like
o'clock
2
at night. I
hours,
feel like
and
I should go do.
I feel like it's been 15 minutes. I always
I
feel
should
like
go
when I
do
get on
something now, but I got to go to bed.
I know. I always feel like I'm like trying to like these podcasts I get on. It's like, okay, how do I have so much I'd want to say. Like, how do I say it in a time frame? And that's why I'm encouraging the guys, like, man, tap, like, if this is your jam, this kind of talk, and if you're inspired and encouraged, like, you just wait till we get going with Wagon Pullers. Like, it's on.
I'm excited for it.
We're gonna make a wave.
Well, I'll grab a boogie board. But thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jeremy. Next week, we are going to be having the godfather of detailing, Brian Spittler, on. He's going to share with us a little bit of his story, what he's gone through the last few years, how he's kind of transitioning in the industry, some of the things he's learned along the way. So make sure you guys tune in next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Jeremy. It was a pleasure to get to finally have this heart-to-heart with you, and I wish you nothing but success in the future. So thank you so much.
Yeah, God bless you, Chelsea. Much love. Thanks for having me on.
All right, thanks, guys, for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Have a great night. Thank you, sir.